So, hello and welcome to another edition of the Bundes Premier League podcast. We are today talking English Premier League. What do we know after 5 match days? And here to talk with me is the football writer from Vevo and other places, Kaustubh Pandey. How's it going?
Yeah, Bill, it's fine. How about you?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I didn't get a chance.
You enjoyed the games.
Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of them because I was kind of busy this weekend. I was actually in a tournament of playing, so Sunday was mostly out for me. But so this will be a nice chance to catch up on them with your expertise. And then I think now that we're 5 games in, there are some trends and talking points. And we actually agreed on 5 of them sort of before the show. And the first one we want to talk about is probably the biggest game of the weekend, which is Liverpool-Chelsea. So as we know that Liverpool ended up coming out with a 2-1 victory thanks to the Jordan Henderson bomb. And what are some of your takeaways? What do you think of this match?
The biggest takeaway is that Antonio Conte has got his welcome to the Premier League in as harsh a way as possible, because tactically there were areas which I saw that Conte was outclassed in by Jurgen Klopp, such as I noticed that Antonio Conte's side failed to cope up with Jurgen Klopp's high pressing, because in the Premier League, to get rid of the high press, and even in the Bundesliga, what sides do is that they place their players just behind the pressing opposition, just to make sure that the intensity of the press reduces, or they play the ball out wide and in wide areas more quickly than usual. But Antonio Conte failed to do both of these, and obviously defensively Chelsea looked really bad, much like last night's game at Leicester. John Terry's absence was a key in that, because David Luiz was out of sorts in terms of positioning, obviously, and also in terms of organizing the defense, and the first goal showed that clearly.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned that about the high press, because I have a couple of thoughts on that, which is like, it's not exactly a surprise that Jurgen Klopp would do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of what he's famous for, the gegenpressing. And for Conte to not really have an answer to that is pretty shocking. So my question is
probably
like,
coping up with the league.
Yeah, but my question is like, so what were some of the specific problems? Was it like the case where, because I immediately thought of the Dortmund match against Leipzig, where Leipzig very similarly I guess sort of used a high press on Dortmund, and Dortmund had the reaction where they just dropped back, especially they had one of their defensive midfielders, Sebastian Rode, drop back, that sort of killed any sort of action through the middle. So was it that kind of a thing with Chelsea, or was it just other things?
No, I don't think so. It was something completely different, because we saw against Burnley that the game that Liverpool lost 2-0, that Burnley were happy to concede possession to Liverpool such that they could nullify their high press, which they usually do. So Sean Dyche's side were very much intent on playing on the break, and that worked out really well, and they ended up winning the game 2-0. But Antonio Conte couldn't clearly figure out any way to get rid of those things, because they passed the ball around with almost sometimes carelessly, and the players were sometimes just one defensive meet come in support of them, and that's one of the reasons why on the break his midfield got overrun. And I did expect Antonio Conte to shift, which he actually, just to make sure that there's overrun.
Yeah. So would you have used somebody like Cesc Fabregas? Because I'm looking at it, he didn't start the match. He did come on, I believe, 84 minutes in, which is, I think I read after the game that Conte got criticized a lot for using all three of his subs 84 minutes in, which isn't really, when you're trying to make an impact. I mean, that's neither optimal nor really helpful.
Yeah, this Fabregas issue has been
Yeah.
Chelsea for quite some time now. Like even under Jose Mourinho, Chelsea were facing similar issues. Other play Fabregas in the defensive midfield, in the playing as an Diego Costa. And last night we won the game.
Mm-hmm.
Fabregas, who scored twice, but against Liverpool, I did see glimpses of some glimpses of the fact that maybe right now to play right behind Diego Costa.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea play two proper holding midfielders in N'Golo. And Fabregas is someone who in a 4-2-3-1 playing as a number 10. So Antonio Conte has to take that into consideration and maybe start Fabregas more on.
Yeah. I'm always kind of surprised by the inclusion of Oscar, who is a fine player, but to me he's one of those players that doesn't really, I mean he's very hardworking and really good at tackling and is capable.
Which I think is that after Mourinho usually tries to play as more hard work before he comes in.
Yeah.
Same was the case with Oscar, and he was made to do some defensive work after Mourinho came.
Right.
He was initially dropped for some. Was made to work harder than he. I think took something out of his attacking play as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, so it looks like a pretty clear victory for Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool, and I think I like the way you phrased it as a nice sort of welcome punch to the Premier League.
Yeah.
So good. Let's actually move on and talk about another team that is sort of coming back down. I wrote that Manchester United are coming back down to earth. So we know that they lost to Watford, who are actually kind of on the upswing, having won 4-2 the match day before that against West Ham.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, as I was at this tournament, I was getting the updates from the guys that I was playing with, and a couple of them happened to be Man U fans, and one of them was a Chelsea fan, and there were mixed emotions on this, but basically conceding two late goals, thanks to some sort of shocking defending, especially on the Zuniga goal. So what were some of the issues with Man United, and what did you think of this match?
One prominent issue that United are currently going through is that they don't have a settled first team lineup,
right.
And in every single game they tend to change the lineup, maybe because Mourinho is not unsure, because Mourinho is not sure about his players and he doesn't know as to who fits in where, and it's almost like a case of sometimes a case of square pegs and round holes,
right.
And even in the midfield, Mourinho doesn't know who to field alongside Pogba, who obviously will have a massive impact at United if he gets going, which isn't happening clearly.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that Pogba fits in and gets back to his real form, he's fiddling around with his midfield and struggling to make sure that he finds a proper partner for Paul Pogba in there. And another thing is that Mourinho currently is not trying to be himself, apart from all those his blaming of referees in press conferences. We aren't actually seeing a Jose Mourinho right now, because
what do you mean by that? Sort of like not trying to be himself tactically, right?
We always tend to associate Jose Mourinho with that deep defensive line play, which we kind of saw in that home game against Southampton. But after that, we haven't seen pacey counter-attacking football, despite the fact fielded Anthony Martial on the left and Marcus Rashford on the right. I think Mourinho himself a bit more than he is right now.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I would probably agree with you just based on some of what I've caught of United with the lineup, where it seems to be that sort of the back four and Pogba and Ibrahimovic are kind of set. So there's like that, that six plus the goalkeeper, and then sort of there's just and then Fellaini actually has played well. I would argue, but sort of the next those attacking midfielders, whether it's Martial, who hasn't really gotten
Yeah,
going, or Marcus Rashford, who's now getting chances, and there's still no sign of Mkhitaryan. And then there's,
yeah,
sometimes Juan Mata is getting involved, and I think last time we even saw Memphis Depay, and
yeah.
there's a
And
lot of
Wayne Rooney is there, obviously.
sometimes just we should actually I kind of purposefully left out the elephant in the room, which is Wayne Rooney's performance, who's been quite ridiculed, and that may sort
Yeah,
of be
shambolic.
right. Which side on the as a Man United fan, which side on the Rooney equation are you on? Are you one of his last defenders, or do you think it's sort of time to drop him and you know?
Maybe the right time. He earns almost £250,000.
Uh huh.
He does on the pitch is nothing but passing around the ball and almost doing nothing effective or nothing in me. And there were instances in the Watford game that even that those passes were something that even I could have pulled off, and I could have pulled off myself, and I pulled the ball better than him. So it's something schoolboy errors, to be
Yeah.
very honest. And benching him right now seems the most desirable thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they were like reaching the Cavani level of futility, and with those videos that were traveling around the internet
Yeah,
with the passes that were overhit by 15, 20 yards,
yeah,
and things like that. And I think even he was rested. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he was rested against Feyenoord, and
yeah.
so it wasn't like that was the
And even his set piece delivery has suffered a lot because you've got
right.
so many tall players in the box every time they go up for a corner. Like Eric Bailly is more than 6. Fellaini is obviously more than 6
Right,
and
right.
as a beast of a header of the ball. And even Ibrahimovic and Paul Pogba are really tall. So United, Wayne Rooney takes the corners for United, and all of them hardly get into the
Yeah,
crowd.
yeah, that was one other part of the video. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting with Rooney because now that there's a couple of articles that have come out, and the one that I think they retweeted is by Michael Cayley, and he sort of mentioned the 2012 knee surgery, knee injury as a decline, and another one that I read was about the 2010 when he was having his best season with, I think it was 34 goals, and then he got hurt sort of late in the season. Um,
Yeah.
so where
Another
do
thing about Rooney is that what has led to his decline over the years is that he's been used in a variety of positions by
yeah.
different managers. Like during Sir Alex's last year in charge of United, he used him as a central midfielder, as a number 10, and as a striker as well. So, and even David Moyes did that as well, and Louis van Gaal did that as well. And although Mourinho has clarified that he won't do that, but a time will surely come when he'll be forced to do that.
Right, right. I agree. Yeah, yeah. So, what do you think would be sort of the ideal Man United starting 11? Just to put you on the spot a little bit, or what would you like to see?
Yeah, I think the best man to play alongside Paul Pogba is Michael Carrick as of now.
Okay.
Or even Bastian Schweinsteiger and even Daley Blind, who would probably play somewhere at the back at left back with Luke Shaw seemingly out for 2 or 3 weeks, or at centre back. So, but I think Michael Carrick has to be there if Pogba has to perform to his full potential and fulfill his 89 million price tag. With Daley Blind and Eric Bailly at centre back, Luke Shaw on the left, Valencia on the right, Pogba and Carrick in the midfield, Martial on the left, Mkhitaryan as an attacking midfielder just behind Ibrahimovic, and on the right, Jesse Lingard.
Okay, all right. That sounds...
Jesse Lingard or maybe Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, yeah. That I think that sounds something that I could get on board with, and I think they have the Leicester match coming up. As the early game on Saturday for us, and then things. I think that should be interesting because I think both of the this is the proverbial both teams need the points kind of
exactly
kind of match. All right, so let's move away from that and move on to our next topic, which is a little bit of relegation banter, I would say. So, I in preparation for this, I made this kind of 5 tiers of the EPL, which I'm probably going to write an article about. So I don't want to spoil that too much. But when I was